what's going on, my YouTube audience and people out there all across the world? All right, it's your boy Moose back at it again. We're gonna get into some more coverage of the trappings of the cool world that we live in. Okay, and uh, and like I like to say, in case you've been living under a rock, I like to cover a lot of different topics going on in the world. Okay, so you can't really pin me in one particular category. All right. But with that being said, I do like to kind of focus my attention to like a lot of political things and ongoings as far as like, you know, uh, society and things that are happening. Okay. But I preface that to say, because in today's video, we're going to go over a brief topic of Don Lemon. Okay. Don Lemon today here on our Lord and Savior's Day, January 30th, 2026, that Don Lemon has been arrested for trespassing. Uh, Basically, there was a story that came out last week that Don Lemon trespassed onto some church premises of an ongoing church session, and it looks like it wasn't done legally. Well, I don't know how you could ever do that legally, but it wasn't done in conjunction with the church. Let's just say, okay. And basically, he just got arrested for it today, and this is what a lot of conservatives been calling for his arrest over the last week or so, and they got it. They got what they wanted. Now, my position is I just think it's interesting to see how all this is happening to people who are on the left now. Because back on January 6th, there were some people who were arrested after that, but they were on the right side. So at that time, they were getting prosecuted for it. So it's all about where do your loyalties lie? Okay, if you play for the right side, you get the benefits. Okay, and you get the leeway of being on that side. If you're on the other side, tough luck. But anyway, like I was saying, we just want to get into this video discussing about Don Lemon being apprehended by federal authorities today. So let's just jump right in. I ain't keeping y'all waiting.
Been arrested.
Journalist Don Lemon has been arrested in connection with an anti-ICE protest at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Ooh.
Bill Melugin joins us now with more on this breaking news.
This is real.
Yeah, Charlie, good morning to you. Our colleague David Spunt and I getting this breaking news from multiple law enforcement sources just minutes ago, confirming that former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel.
1
This
a.m.
obviously all in connection with that storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators.
Yeah,
now,
here he is.
remember, the feds had gone to judges to try to get Don Lemon arrested before. They went to a magistrate judge in Minnesota who didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to a judge above him. He didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to an appeals court. They also decided not to sign off for an arrest warrant.
Didn't stop.
So there was
So they had to go through mad hoops to get this guy arrested. So that just tells you it's all political. The political theater of 2026 is outstanding, Oscar worthy. Oh man!
They finally
experts
found
are
a
predicting that
judge.
perhaps the feds would go to a grand jury. It remains to be seen if that's what happened here, but we can confirm that Don Lemon was arrested in Los Angeles by federal agents just after midnight Los Angeles time at a hotel. Now,
They pulled him out of a hotel in his pajamas for
LA.
storming a church, which is illegal.
this is going to grab all sorts of headlines. 3 other protesters from that church storming, have
Look
already
at
been
these
arrested, including who the feds say was the organizer of that.
It's like a ragtag group of people. Like, come on, man! You see that guy on the right? Come on, Cletus. Come on, man! It was Cletus. Was there for the raid. We here for the raid. They said they had some weed and some booze at a church.
protest.
And here's what he did.
But there we go. Everybody's ready to go. This is the beginning of what's going to happen here. When you violate people's due process, when you pull people off the
He's
street,
intimidating
you start dragging
people.
them and hurting them and
Listen.
And not abiding by the Constitution, when you start doing all of that, people get upset and angry. And if you remember
Well,
what the
he's
civil
talking about
rights
civil
movement was
rights.
about. The civil rights movement was about
No, it wasn't.
these very kinds of protests. There's nothing in the Constitution that tells you what time
Yeah, but that's not
you
what
can
this
protest.
is. This
You
is
can
not a
protest at any
protest.
time. That's the whole point of it, is to disrupt. It's to make uncomfortable. And that's what they're doing. And that's what I believe when I say everyone has to be willing to sacrifice something. You have to make people uncomfortable in these times. If you see how
But the thing is, you're not supposed to do that in a church. But Don Lemon, he said that he was just out there being a journalist. Meanwhile, we've got evidence that suggests otherwise that he himself provided, which likely led to his arrest.
into Minneapolis a little bit ago and did some reconnaissance on the ground, speaking to an organization there that's gearing up to for resistance and protest. I've been pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together.
Wow.
Diverse community. If you see this when we first pulled up,
So it's alleged that he helped these people storm this church, that he helped them organize. He just said he did recon for purposes of entering a church and intimidating people and making them feel uncomfortable, which you can't do.
These are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up.
So he knows what they're doing.
And it's
Okay, I see what's being played here. He is stating basically that he's going to go in there for reconnaissance to go and agitate those ICE, supposedly the community that's visiting the church are ICE goers. So he's stating that he can go in there and go and bother them for whatever reason. But under the law, when you're in church, you can't have people come and protest based off political views or something to those lines, because then it kind of falls along with religious views. So, and you can't just be you can't protest people because of their religious views. So it kind of makes sense now why he is getting arrested for it. Well, why they all getting arrested for it. It's like a loophole. It's like a law loophole.
Takima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account.
Wow, intimidating
so that's what we're
people.
doing here, and then after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, can't tell you where they're going.
But he knows where they're going, and he knows that it's not for purposes of obeying the law.
Screaming and crying about Don Lemon's arrest this morning. I have a couple questions for you. You're calling this an attack on journalism. No, it was Don Lemon who was attacking a Christian church that was praying peacefully. You didn't care about attacks on journalism when Nick Sotor, Nick Shirley, Cam Higby, Savannah Hernandez, Andy No were all being physically attacked. James O'Keefe got death threats this week. They threw rocks, bricks,
that did happen.
Frozen water bottles at his car, shattered his windshield. They said they were going to kill him. Nobody cared about attacks on journalism when that happened, so I don't think so. And then secondly, you say this is an attack on the First Amendment. No, this is a consequence that is happening for Don Lemon engaging in criminal behavior.
Which infringed upon the First Amendment,
used by Steve
freedom of
Baker
religion.
When you arrested him for January 6th. He's a journalist that was covering January 6th, and there were dozens of these people. They're on our show all the time. Covering January 6th, I was a journalist. Nope, arrest.
Okay, so just to clarify, you can't prosecute or you can't protest someone just for their religion, for freedom of religion. I think that's what he was stating. Just want to clarify it, that's all.
By the DOJ. We don't like you, we don't like the politics, whatever.
Yep. That's how it works. It's a massive double standard. You're allowed to be a journalist as long as you're playing for the right team. If you're playing for the other team, if you want to do what Nick Shirley did, you want to go out there and expose the biggest scam in American history, everyone out there who's a quote-unquote journalist is going to say, oh, that guy's not a journalist.
Saying that you can't have it both ways. You try to have it both ways all the time. Don Lemon engaged in a crime. Don Lemon was part of a crime. You don't get to say I'm a journalist as a shield for get out of jail free every single time you commit a criminal act. And by the way, it was a grand jury of Don Lemon's peers in dark blue Minnesota that approved the arrest.
Interesting.
So
Minnesota.
I'm going to hear you crying about nobody is above the law, and we're just going to follow the law when now the law says Don Lemon committed a crime.
You know there's going to be people that come out and say that he didn't get his due process, that this is vindictive persecution on behalf of the Trump administration for all the things that Don Lemon may have said about him when he was a CNN host. He's now a former CNN host, perhaps future prisoner. But these are the same people telling us that nobody's above the law and that ICE needs to be accountable, that Trump needs to be accountable, and now Don Lemon's going to be accountable. They don't like that.
Or at the very least, needs to be arrested and put on trial. So again, you don't get to have it both ways. You arrested Donald Trump on 92 separate charges, facing
they arrested Trump, right?
For things Donald Trump didn't even do, from places Donald Trump wasn't even at. Sitting there, like, saying that this is about the First Amendment when you arrested Donald Trump for literally using the First Amendment. No, you don't get to have it both ways. So cry more.
Has said all along that he was there not as a.
Okay, I think I'm done with this, but you guys get the gist of it. Don Lemon was arrested. Things are going down. It's the year of accountability from both sides. So accountability from former journalists, accountability from Democrats, from Republicans, from different groups of people, different types of people. It's just the year of accountability. So make sure you're on your P's and Q's, all right? Because I'm sure you don't want to get arrested like Donda did just now. So, but yeah, like I said, scary times out here. Got to watch your back. But anyway, just wanted to cover that because I thought it was a little bit of funny piece of information that came out today about Donda getting arrested. We'll see how many charges actually he gets stuck with, and what the actual the consequences of that are going to be for him. But with that being said, toodaloo, I'm off. I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.